What up, football family? Welcome to the Fantasy Football Show. I am your host, PL Coulter. All right, ballers and ballettes, it is finally here. Week 16, aka the Fantasy Football Championship Round. This will also be the Season 2 finale of the Fantasy Football Show. Certainly been a great journey the last 4 months, and certainly proud of each and every one of you that made it to your championship game, as well as the ones who've actually participated all year. You first-time fantasy football players, congratulations to you. Hope you learned a lot during the season, and again, congratulations and wishing you the best of luck in your championship game. Now, of course, you know here at the Fantasy Football Show, we will never insult your intelligence, so we're not going to talk studs or quarterbacks or anything like that. What we're going to focus on this week is the bottom of your roster again, that flex play, maybe that third wide receiver slot. You may have a couple of different guys there and you want to play the matchup, or you may have an injury and you need to put in a sub in that flex spot, or you just want to maximize your points because there's no tomorrow, there's no game next week. So if you're trying to maximize your points, you've come to the right place. We here at the Fantasy Football Show are going to hook you up. All right, so let's get started. All right, we're going to start out in the Mile High City and focus on Mr. Demaryius Thomas, wide receiver of the Denver Broncos. Now, I know Tebow has been getting all of the credit, and rightfully so, for whatever reason. We're not going to go into Tebow. I digress. What we will focus on is his number one receiver, Mr. Thomas. Now, Demaryius Thomas over the last 3 weeks has put up elite number one fantasy points numbers. Check this out. Over the last 3 weeks, he has 18 catches for almost 340 yards and 3 touchdowns. That's elite status. This week, the Denver Broncos draw the Buffalo Bills, who have been getting gashed lately through the run and through the pass. Right now, they're giving up almost 230 yards a game through the air. So Thomas looks like that he's still hot, and you want to strike while the iron is hot. So keep that brother in your lineup. If for some reason he is on your bench this week, get that brother into your lineup. All right. Now, moving on, we are going to focus on one of the most entertaining games, at least on paper, of the weekend. That's the Philadelphia Eagles traveling to Big D to face the Dallas Cowboys. Now, we're going to keep this one real simple. If there's a position player for the Eagles or the Cowboys on your roster, get them into your lineup this week. I'm talking Michael Vick. I'm talking Tony Romo. I'm talking Shady McCoy. I'm talking Felix Jones. If he's healthy, looks like he hadn't practiced this week, but all things point to him playing this week, and he's been lights out. So if he does start this week, he's a safe bet to get in your lineup and get you some nice points. We're talking Deshaun Jackson. Yeah, I know he struggled, but he does work against the Cowboys. Just look at his YouTube clips. All of them come in Cowboy Stadium. I'm talking Dez Bryant. I'm talking Jeremy Macklin. I'm talking Brent Selleck. I'm talking Miles Austin, Jason Witten, and Laurent Robinson. If you have any of those guys on your roster, get them into the lineup. Generally, when the Eagles and the Cowboys hook up in Arlington, the scoreboard bulbs need replacing after the game because it's an absolute shootout. Both offenses have been absolutely on fire, so I anticipate it being the exact same deal. I really don't see Philadelphia winning, scoring 14 points against Dallas, and I certainly don't see Dallas winning, scoring 14 points against a red-hot Philadelphia Eagles team. So all of those guys should be money for you. Get all of those brothers into your lineup. Now, from the penthouse to the outhouse, let's focus on one of the least entertaining games of the weekend, and this is coming from someone who was born and raised in Nashville, Tennessee. That will be the Tennessee Titans facing the Jacksonville Jaguars. If their name is not Maurice Jones-Drew or Chris Johnson, please do me a favor, player. Don't put them in your lineup. I mean, look, if you're just looking at the stats and didn't see the game, I know you saw that Jared Cook had over 100 yards catching at tight end. You know what? Pause. Please don't you put that brother in your lineup. That is a 1 week wonder if I ever saw one. Actually, all of those passing stats were skewed from last week against the Indianapolis Colts because they were basically just garbage time points, meaningless. Now, I know it's not meaningless to you on your fantasy football squad, but that scenario is not bound to happen again against the Jacksonville Jaguars. I know they look like absolute crap turd last Thursday against the Falcons, but they are still ranked 4th in the league against the pass, even after getting lit up by Matt Ryan and company. So it's not a good matchup. If you study the history of the Titans and the Jaguars, they're pretty much low-scoring, bloody, cheap, dirty play games, and the only two players who ever seem to have any value fantasy-wise or just in real-life stats is Maurice Jones-Drew or Chris Johnson. So that includes Nate Washington. I know he's been on fire lately, but he's been gimpy, and the quarterback situation at Tennessee. I'm sorry, I didn't want to get into this, but I got to. What are you doing, Tennessee? I mean, Matt Hasselbeck, yeah, he started out on fire, but he looks like he's 472 years old today. And the only thing missing from him last week was a Seattle jersey and a Seattle helmet. The guy, I mean, he's hit the wall. Of course, he's going to come out fresh in the beginning of the season. There was no OTAs, there was no training camp. He was fresh, but he looks his age now. And you're bringing in Matt Locker with zero time left on the clock and wanting this guy to make miracles. He's athletic, he's young, he's winging the ball all over the place, but you still refuse to start that, brother. I digress. Moving along. All right, next we'll profile the Monday night game with the Atlanta Falcons and the New Orleans Saints. Now, we're not going to profile everybody because, of course, there's some major studs that you start week in and week out regardless, including the quarterbacks and the two starting receivers. Well, three if you want to count Julio Jones. That'd be Roddy White and Marcus Colston. But if you are a matchup player for Lance Moore or Robert Meacham, this will be the week to get both of them into your lineup. Not so much because they're playing the Falcons defense, but more so because this coming Monday night, Drew Brees has a chance to break Dan Marino's single season record for passing yards. Now, he's a little over 300 yards away. They're playing on Monday night, nationally televised game, only ticket in town, and they're playing at home in the Superdome. It don't take a rocket scientist to figure out that Sean Payton and Drew Brees is going to want to do that in front of the home crowd on Monday Night Football and not risk a chance of taking that into Week 16 to break that record and risk injury because we all know they're going to the playoffs. So for that reason alone, get Robert Meacham, get Lance Moore to your lineup. Lance Moore's been playing great. He has 7 touchdowns in his last 7 games, to be perfectly honest. Meacham is up and down, but they're going to drop a game plan to get him that record. Bank that. Trust that. All right? Get those players into your lineup. Now, we'll kind of change base here a little bit and focus on a couple of receivers that had a bad game last week, but if you were lucky enough to survive, they need to stay in your lineup this week. And those two players will be Mr. Percy Harvin and Mr. Jordy Nelson. Both had just some weird, strange games where the ball just didn't come their way. We all know the shocking upset that Kansas City put up on Green Bay, and Minnesota they just didn't have it. They just didn't have it last week. They looked awful. But both players, Jordy Nelson and Percy Harvin, we'll focus on Harvin first. Now, Harvin has been an absolute beast ever since they put the new rookie in at quarterback and Christian Ponder, and he's done a fantastic job getting points in a variety of ways. And if the game is close, they even stick him back on kickoff returns where he gets you 30 or 40 yards a clip. You did get ran down against Denver, and I'm sorry, against Atlanta. That was a bad look. Wow, you got ran down on the kickoff player. But I digress. Percy Harvin is absolute money. He's drawing a Washington Redskins defense that's so inconsistent, it's not funny. They showed up big against Eli, but then again, for some reason, they always play the Giants well. They'll lay another egg this week and expect Harvin to get back to his normal productive self, especially for the championship. Now, moving on to Nelson. Now, everybody had a bad game offensively for the Green Bay Packers, and every team is afforded one. I mean, they've been playing like a machine for the last year and a half. They would do one of those games, and Arrowhead is a tough place to play, and it was just one of those games. Now, Jenkins will still be out, so look for Jordy Nelson to step into the starting role and to really step up and make an impact this week, like he's done basically throughout the whole season. Now, you best believe that on a nationally televised game on Sunday night, the only game popping at that time, you know that the Green Bay Packers are going to want to make a statement. They just saw the San Francisco win on Monday night and come within a game of them or 2 games of them, but they only need 1 game to clinch home field advantage throughout the playoffs, and this is going to be their week to do it. Chicago, wow. I don't even know what to say, Chicago. It was all good just a few weeks ago, but injuries have tore y'all out the frame. I digress with that. But bottom line with that is feel free to and feel safe to play Nelson this week. He should be money for you. Now, moving on to our Homer Alert pick for our championship round. if you're a tile waver, if you're a fan of Big Ben and the Pittsburgh Steelers, well, you need to do yourself a favor and be on home alert this week. Now, yes, I understand that Pittsburgh is playing the St. Louis Rams. I understand that that team is finished. They're done. They're not good on defense. But you want to be careful with that. That can sometimes be a two-edged sword because of the fact that their offense is so putrid. We're not even sure if Sam Bradford is going to play this week, which means that they're going to load the box to stop Steven Jackson. And if the Rams can't put up points, then just by the nature and the flow of the game, Big Ben won't have to throw it a lot. So if you're in a championship game, it's a pretty good bet that you're going up against either Drew Brees, Tom Brady, Aaron Rodgers, or you may be going up against a Tony Romo or someone of that echelon. It's going to be a tough go of it if you have Big Ben out there who's mollywhopping the St. Louis Rams and he only has to throw the ball 18 or 19 times. Sure, he may get you a touchdown, but if one of those happen to be a pick, then you're in real serious trouble and way behind the eight ball. So it's not the matchup that I'm so much concerned with. It's from a fantasy standpoint, I'm sorry, it's not the matchup I'm worried about. It's from the actual game itself. I can see Mike Tomlin calling the dogs off if they get a comfortable lead and putting Charlie Batch in there to finish out the game if Big Ben steps up early. Lord forbid if the Steelers defense gets a touchdown or a few stops on their own or they get a special teams touchdown. That's even more yardage and completions that's coming away from Big Ben. This week is just not a good week to play him. If you have a second-tier quarterback who has a better matchup, who you know will have to throw the ball, maybe it's still in the playoff hunt, that you may want to just roll the dice. I mean, what the heck? The worst you can do is second place. But it's time to put all your chips into the middle of the table and go for that championship. All right? Now, this concludes Week 16 of the Fantasy Football Show, and it concludes Season 2 of the Fantasy Football Show. I'd like to thank each and every viewer for tuning in each and every week. I've had a blast personally working with each and every one of you. It's been an absolutely fantastic season. We found some fantastic waiver wire pickups. We've seen some people go from trust to bust and from bust to trust. It's just awesome. Fantasy football is that one. I like to take a special time to do a shout out to Mr. Rodrigo Alcaraz, aka I Just Wet My Pants, and for Mr. Danny Padilla, aka Diddy DeVito, for their contributions throughout the entire season. Special shout out to Rigo Carranza, for Ambrosio Casares, for Mac D, all of the people who paid a guest visit to share their love and to share their advice as well. We're all one team trying to get that championship, and there is no Iron Team, and I could not have done it without them, and I couldn't have done it without you. As always, in closing, I'd like to tell you that life is a sport, so always play to win. Feel free to follow me on Twitter at PL Culture. Again, that's at PL COLTER. This concludes Season 2 of the Fantasy Football Show. I wish you all the best of luck. Rodrigo Alcaraz, it's me and you in the championship, baby. Let's see what you got. All right? To the rest of you all, I'd like to wish you a Merry Christmas, a happy holiday, and a fantastic New Year. And I hope all of your dreams come true for 2012. We will do this again next August. It is your boy PL. I am out. Good luck. And as always, God bless.